Greetings and welcome to Connecting with Intent Formula Show. I am your host Muhammad Awais. On this episode, we have a very special guest. He is founder, entrepreneur, business professional, and author, Chad Price. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Chad. Welcome, Chad.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on.
Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
I think from a very young age, I was always pretty competitive. So, I grew up playing sports in a small town and not really having much else to do besides sports. And, I think that kind of fostered a mentality inside of me to try to achieve bigger and better things when I, quote unquote, become an adult. And I've always kind of had that dream to be a part of a successful business or to start my own successful business. So it was really either one or the other for me ever since I was a kid.
What is your higher purpose in life?
I wouldn't say I even realized this when I started my entrepreneurship journey, but through the businesses that I started, the impact I've been able to make on the people and the customers that have chosen to do business with me, I really kind of understand now that I aspire to make people's lives better. I think businesses in general should aspire to make the world a little bit better place in whichever space or whichever niche that they're in. And with the companies that I try to design, I think that's where my focus will be moving forward, is on things that can make people's lives better.
That's a powerful purpose. What have been top three greatest challenges that you have had to overcome?
The top three would probably be hard to specify. I think when you're a business owner, you have to overcome every challenge. I don't think you're limited to any particular category. Um, but I think there's kind of milestones that you have to cross when you're starting an entrepreneurial journey. And I think getting into a situation where you're covering all the bills with cash flow is one of the kind of the first milestones to get to. And every single challenge that presents itself to you, is more of an opportunity for you to grow. So I don't really look at like any of the challenges I've gone through as like the hardest ones. I look at it like, this is what I have to do today to be a better business professional.
That's great. What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
I mean, I think that question would fall into a similar category. I think there's plenty of stories to learn from failure or from your decision making process. I tell people all the time, with Kettlebell Kings, we weren't able to pay ourselves for the first 5 years of the company, and that's not a path that I'd recommend for most people. That's it puts pressure on you, it puts pressure on your business partners, and that ends up putting pressure on the company in itself. So I think in that situation, or what I would say I learned from that, is that you have to find a way to pay yourself. You have to find a way to make the ownership of the company worth owning. So even if that is a long-term strategy, it has to be something that's agreed upon and held to. And I think that goes a long way in making forward decisions for the business in general.
What is the most impactful business book you have read and what did you learn from it?
I would say, I'm not one of those people that is super huge on like a particular book. So, I think if you can, I think probably the biggest project that I've liked is probably my book, just because I don't try to tell you like, hey, this is how business is run. I tell people all the time, if you think that all you have to do is read a book and then you're going to be able to start some successful business, you're just a little out of touch with reality, especially today's reality, given how fast the business playing field changes. So if someone wrote a book 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they weren't considering what's available now and all of the possibilities and the most effective way to really get to any type of goal that you could set. Introduction of social media changed things. The introduction of the internet changed things. The introduction of AI is changing things just the same. So I think it's more about staying on top of whatever niche you're in. So, I'm a big podcaster, YouTuber. I try to absorb information on my niche and try to be an expert in whatever particular goals I'm going after.
What are your goals for the next 12 months?
For the next 12 months, I'm really trying to gear things up and build out the brand Chad Price, previous to now, and I'm still running my companies as well. But previous to now, I've kind of been putting, let's say, my brands before my personal brand, and I'm doing a lot more speaking. And obviously, I wrote the book, so I'm promoting that quite a bit more. So this kind of chapter of my life is really focused on just promoting everything Chad Price, and then the brands are also underneath that umbrella.
What advice you will give to younger yourself?
I mean, I probably tell myself to be patient. I think it's hard to do. It's easier said than done. Um, make better decisions in terms of choosing the right type of people to be around, choosing, putting personal relationships as a higher priority and different things like that. I think can bring a little bit more well-being to people's lives. So, I tell myself to be patient and focus on the journey, not the destination.
How can we support you?
When you I'm sorry, say that one more time.
How can we support you?
When you say support me in which way?
You can tell my audience how
Oh,
they
okay,
can
got
reach.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense. No problem. Sorry. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to support me is, one would be purchase the book, but then I'm also doing, I do consulting, I do executive coaching. So I'm working with companies who want to build out brands and build out communities. I think that's where a lot of my passion is. Um, in general, I try to find brands that I believe have a passionate community that maybe they're not taking advantage of, or that could be bigger, could be a self-sustaining or self-growing even community. I've created those communities in the past, and I really think that's kind of the future of business. I think brands and the digital space will have us so connected that we will have a limited number of brands in our brains, and it will be a fight for everyone for that real estate to be associated with. A global brand will be a limited thing in the future.
What would you say about your guest appearance on the show?
I would say it's been great. Yeah, I mean, I love the format. I love the questions showing up on the screen. I think that's awesome. I think the way that you're structuring the show, it looks very professional. So I'm impressed.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate for this. What closing thoughts would you like to share with our listeners?
I mean, my closing thoughts would just be, the same thing I usually tell everyone is, if you're in a space where you're thinking about entrepreneurial journey, I think it's very important to get yourself mentally prepared for a more difficult task. I compare it to working out, or I compare it to going to the military. If you knew you had to go into the military, you'd be working out and training beforehand. So I think entrepreneurship is one of those same things. And I think books like my book and having the mentality be a lifelong learner and kind of setting up your schedule and setting up your personal life that allows you to go after those larger structural goals of preparing yourself is just as important as the business idea itself.
Thank you so much, Chet, for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of Connecting with the Entire Formula community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Muhammad West. Until the next episode, all good wishes.